Roll call. Thank you. Mayor Goodwin. Present. Council President Dumbrow.
Present.
Councilor Fade.
Here.
Councilor Hagedorn. Here. Councilor McCall Wallace. Here. Councilor Papen. Present. Councilor Reddy. Here. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a change to our consent agenda, item 6A. We'll be going to new business based on the fact that it does require some deliberation. So in consent agenda, we just have the approval of our April 7th city council minutes. Yes.
And just so you know, I contacted the city clerk regarding the council minutes with 2 minor changes, grammatical, a name change, and then spelling, and a noting a consensus vote. So that was already changed.
Thank you very much. Do we have any concerns or need discussion on our consent agenda as it remains?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you so much. Public comment, we have. I don't think any of these are agenda items, so this is all right now. Let's go ahead and do budget with Aaron Nichols.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. My name is Aaron Nichols. I live at 11,000 Northwest Jackson Quarry Road, Hillsborough, Oregon 97124. I wanted to talk to you.
We can't hear back here.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, my best.
I really wish there were.
I'll try to.
Can I-
that was just my address. So it's
Yeah.
like that.
General, it's hard to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to just talk a little bit about a document I sent you all about the budget and comparisons of North Plains city budget to other cities of similar size, as well as other cities locally. You probably saw it. I sent it this morning. What I think is interesting about it is that it is possible, I believe, for North Plains to move to more, as you were saying in your earlier session, to move towards more citizen-facing services such as public works, public safety, and library, those sorts of things, without, while certainly making hard choices, without making choices of pitting one citizen-facing organization against another. So it's not, library versus police or that sort of thing. There is room to reorient the budget away from the needs of an expansion towards the needs of citizen services. I would point out both Hubbard and Mount Angel, which both have pretty clear budgets, are easy to read, maybe worth looking at. They both have 6 to 7 police officers and 6 to 6.5 public works folks on the streets. Their general fund budget is in the range of North Plains's, and they're almost exact same size city, similar tax revenue, and their administrative side is smaller than North Plains's. So I just point that out as something to look at as you're going into the budget. And there's all the data and all the information is in there as well. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Lori Furrow with newsletter.
The newsletter the last several years, there was that Mayor's Corner. And it was, almost every newsletter, it, contained that. And just wondering if there's any, so the last few months, we haven't had that, since January. Just wondering if there's any reason we couldn't reinstate that to have a Mayor's Corner.
That's a great question. So over the past couple of years, city attorney guidance for a number of different states and in advising the Oregon City Managers Association, it's been strongly advised that elected officials do not get platform long form opinion in city newsletters. And the reason is because the emphasis should be on information about delivery of services, kind of objectively, and not be about, elected official opinion. And so that's basically why. So most cities, if not all, have moved away from that. North Plains might be one of the last ones that's moved away from.
It's like it's such a great opportunity to kind of know what's developments and that month's themes.
I appreciate that. I just, we don't want to get in trouble and go down the path of things that other cities have gotten into trouble with one elected official having their opinion, be the kind of the platform, may or may not agree with other city councilors. So kind of keeping a long form opinion of an elected official off the newsletter has overwhelmingly been the direction given by city attorneys to other cities. So, because we're just trying to comply with that.
Thank you so much. And lastly, I have UGB costs from Ron Bunch.
Well, thank you. It's really nice to be here. My name is Ron Bunch, and I've worked as a public administrator, city planner, county planner in Oregon for the last 40 years. I can add this meeting to one of the thousands that I've attended over the years and along that vein. So never thought I would enjoy these, but here I am. So Mayor Goodwin, city councilors, for the record, I'm Ron Bunch, retired city land use planner and public administrator. I have lots of experience, but I've been doing a lot of pro bono work for several organizations since I retired, and I do this because I really care deeply about Oregon and the importance of good governance. And citizen engagement is also an integral part of this. Now, I am an equal opportunity advisor. And if any member of the council or others wish to talk to me, I'm certainly available. This evening, I'm responding to questions about the cost of the proposed river growth boundary expansion. This was rejected by the voters in a May 24 election. But as the city begins to develop a new budget, it's important to consider lessons really learned from this experience. So what I've done is prepared a short report that estimates the magnitude of costs of the urban growth boundary to be about $821,000. This is most likely low for reasons identified in the report I'm providing this evening, such as not all indirect costs can't be identified, and there's probably excluded substantial legal costs for this. This is only an estimate of local money expended on available information, but I really encourage you, if you want to get a more detailed understanding of the costs, that you're asking your staff to do so. Now, could the city have done a less expensive and smaller urban growth boundary expansion? Yes. The city voluntarily tried to create a very large urban growth boundary using a novel process, most suitable for larger cities, based on what is called an economic opportunities and targeted industries analysis. Now, this is what Woodburn tried to do, or actually they did that successfully, to justify locating an Amazon distribution center there. Now, North Plains' emphasis was semiconductor uses at a very low density of employment, many of which could have been tax exempt. Now, state statute allows for small cities, ORS 197-310, to use a process that would have cost a fraction of what the UGB. Comprehensive transportation system plans and public facility plans and provide the basis for this. So in conclusion, the money spent on the urban growth boundary expansion could have been used for other needs. And the city budget impacts are really important because the biennial budget under review right now has one of its objectives, 2023-25, implementation of the UGB expansion. UGB was mentioned 17 times in this budget. So unless something unforeseen happens, these references should be rejected and replaced by the city's intent to accommodate needed housing and employment uses by using an appropriately sized urban growth management and community development. And any questions?
And that's the time we have,
Pardon me?
that's the time we have for public comment.
Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And again, if there's any questions that you wish to propose or bring forward, available. I've done many of these in my career, throughout the region and throughout the state. So thank you.
I appreciate the resource. Thank you. And I do have one more comment card from Emily Waldron regarding communication and types of government. Thank you.
Thank you, council. I appreciate your work being in here on such a beautiful spring day, because this is not the optimal place to be when the sun is out. As I mentioned on my comment card, my name is Emily Waldron. I know it's been asked in the past for people to identify if they're in-city residents or not. My driver's license says North Plains, but I happen to live on the wrong side of Jackson School Road to be able to vote. I'm gonna start with actually wanting to back up what Lori came and said about the importance of having a newsletter. I understand not wanting to give elected officials a platform to write an op-ed piece. But for a lot of people, especially younger people like myself who are not on Facebook and are leaving a lot of social media sites, that was one of the best ways that we could get information about what's happening in town. I know last meeting, and this is an example of something else I wanted to mention, we brought up, how do we get out council openings or committee openings? How do we tell people that there's an opening on the budgetary committee? The email newsletter will be a great way to send that out. That's not social media. It goes to everybody, everyone that's interested can sign up for it. And it just seems like, unless you all ask something very specific, which I want to encourage you to give specific asks to the manager, the administrative department, a lot of what you ask to happen in these meetings doesn't actually end up happening. It's kind of deflected, or there's a defensiveness towards a critique, or you're being told this is what we did in the past, without thinking of how we can innovate to increase residents participating in their government and applying towards these committee openings. I also just want to bring up, because it's been spoken about in many meetings, how we have a city manager form of government versus a mayoral powered form of government. And I can see how all of you want to take a greater role in the administrative workings of town, especially because for 4 of you, you're new and you were brought in to enact change. According to the Oregon Municipal Handbook that's put out by the League of Oregon Cities, one thing that can happen is you can change from being a city manager to a city administrator. The city administrator is allowed under this form of government, and it actually gives you, the council, more power to be involved in those activities within our government. So I would encourage you to look into that with League of Oregon Cities, see what is available out there, and maybe there's a path within our current government structure that you can have more of a voice and a role carrying this out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I think that concludes our public comment. To anyone on the phone who was trying to reach out and make a comment, my personal apologies to you. I have tried but been unsuccessful in understanding what our options are in the current process to enable that for tonight, but I hope to be able to do better for next meeting. In the meantime, I would encourage anyone who wants to make public comment online to submit a request prior to 3 p.m. the day of the council meeting. And me to the rest of council, I would really like to change that. We don't need any more barriers to access and folks being able to use their voice. I think that's important, and bureaucracy shouldn't get in our way.
Can I ask a quick question maybe? Just out of curiosity, for those on Zoom, are they able to raise hands to be able to provide public comment, or?
There's some sort of disconnect, and Lori and Bill, maybe you can help me understand what it is, because I really am struggling to know why we can't accommodate this.
So in the their adopted council rules, section D, E, council discussions and decorum. Subsection 4 addresses public comment. And in that paragraph D says, an individual or community group wishes to provide public comment virtually must register with the city recorder by 3 p.m. the day of the meeting and provide their name, address, email, so on. And that language is then reprinted on the agenda in the public comment section in red boldface lettering. So you could change it, but would require a change to your council rules.
And what would be action that is required from council be to initiate that? If all of us are trying to accommodate our constituents.
Talk to city manager as to that, I mean, if you think that there is, a will on the council, then.
I'd
you can
love
add
to
it the
hear
agenda.
will of the council right now that we get rid of that.
Needs to be brought during council comments. Correct.
Beg your pardon?
That needs to get brought during council comments, because we should be moving to the next agenda item, correct?
This would be,
Yeah, I mean, public comment isn't an action item,
Right, so
so you can't really take action, yeah.
Let's
so
put a
when
pin
we
in it.
get down
Yeah, put a
to
pin in
Yeah.
it. There you
council
go.
comments, we
Yeah.
can look at whether we would like to add that as a future agenda item.
Yeah. We have our Parks Board first quarter report. Thank you so much, Vice Chair.
Good evening, Mayor, city staff. My name is Joanna Farr. I am on the Parks Board as co-chair. Just here for any questions on our first quarter report to send out. Some of the main things that I do want to highlight is that we have completed the bylaws, so we are not compliant. Our next step that we're working on is completing our bringing back possibly on the next quarterly report is our objectives. And that's what we're working on right now, going through the Parks Master Plan. We currently don't have any objectives that the board really is truly working on, so we pending on, as we stated on here, anything future with the UGB. So in the meantime, we're going through the previous Parks and Rec Master Plan. And going through that. If there's any questions, I'd love to.
Do we get a microphone? How does the microphone work?
Budget.
You already have it. Do you need my one or?
Yes.
So I can answer that question. So right now, the microphone system we have, if we use it, creates audio conflict with the audio quality of the OWL online and the recording of the minute, what ends up being the recording of the session. So we're in a choose one or the other position right now. That's the problem.
But it's been worked on.
Go ahead.
So I want to say, thank you. Looking at the report, it's exciting to see that, that the board is working on different things and, looking at some things going forward. I can share, I know there was an area on there in terms of, what the next direction is and what things to be working on in the future. And I can share that, and I think all the council agree that we have sort of worked on our vision and goals and setting those into place. And then last meeting, also set it up so that we should be seeing you in August for a joint work session. And so that will give us a chance to all talk about, what those kinds of things are, look at what's left on the master plan and then kind of find out what else is happening in current projects, et cetera. And so, I know that when I visited the board, you guys were also very willing to say, hey, we'll go out and do surveys, we'll show up at your events, we'll table, we'll do all kinds of things. And so, I think the council is all really happy to hear that too. So please take that information back to the board from me.
Will do, definitely. Yeah, we're eager to move forward and proceed with anything that on the board that we can work and assist the council with and also bring into our community. I think that's why we're all part of the board, is to have that community aspect in it.
Thank you. I have a couple questions, and it's okay if you don't have the answers. My first question was just regarding the signage being placed in Jessie Mays regarding long-term parkers or long-term people parking in the lot, that they would be towed after a certain amount of time. And I was just curious if you could provide a little insight into what that would look like or how that would be controlled or monitored.
Well, one of the things we had discussed was actually bringing it to council to create more signage at the parks, possibly to where it's warning the bikers that, you know, the park, especially with Jesse May, from what we discussed on the board, was that it's looking to be, especially on the weekends, that families are actually coming with their children to be at the park parking lot to actually, for this park is full, and it's full of the people that are coming. They park here and then they go do their, wherever they go with the bike routes that they have. And so it's creating more signage, maybe possibly, I don't know if that entails city code or something on the signage with the parking. I've heard that it's also become an issue in the parking lot where the Loteria and Peak is at as well, where it's also complicated, where at times on the weekends or during the week, even on Fridays, it makes that parking lot very busy, but they're not going to the businesses afterwards or before. So it's probably attaining either a way of that they're welcome to park along the sideways of, you know, where it's public parking on the streets. Or maybe the possibility, other possibility that was discussed during our board meeting was, I believe the city has a lot behind, off of Commercial, behind the,
Kim's.
behind,
That's
yeah,
right.
behind Kim's Market. There is a lot over there that may be possibly creating that lot or using that lot as a guidance or, you know, signage to where that's some area that they can park over there. It's not a matter of that we dislike the bikers coming through town. That's not the issue at all. The issue is more so just if this is a park, the parking lot is small and it's for families to enjoy with their kids. But then when they're coming to enjoy the premises here, another thing that we're looking at with Jesse May specifically is that in looking at the rental that we are also working on. And also in the future, that is noted on the report with fundraising for the kitchen, which is our future goal. If this is more of a rental space that is occupied as a rental space, and then we have the park, but then the parking lot is full, it just kind of contradicts with what these premises are meant for, the use of this space right here and the park. So again, I don't want to deteriorate anybody that comes through town with their bikes that they can't come through here. It's just a matter of them being mindful of other parking spaces that they can use that is not going to take away from the premises that people are using.
So we'll hear more about that in a
Yes,
future.
it's a matter of more discussion, I think, here with council and other city staff as to what we can do.
Thank you. And just my second follow-up question was just regarding the parks master plan. And I noticed in your report, you're kind of waiting on us, before you can move forward with that. And I was just curious, do you have a timeline on when the Parks Board is trying to finalize your master plan?
Well, right now we're going through the current master plan and we're going through those goals to see where we're at with each goal. I think we're moving on to the third one for our next meeting. So we're touching base in regards to each goal that was done in the first, that first one that we're, master plan that we're working on and what's still pending from there. And I think that would be what we would want to gather and bring to the collective meeting that we have and say, here's what we've looked at. This is everything that's been done from that master plan, but these are also all the things that are pending that we should still continue to work on, and then maybe possibly highlight other things that we have noticed that have come up that are now based on the community that we have right now and the growth that the city has had right now, onto what that could entail to possibly even having a new master plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the update on the parking. I very much appreciate that there's a feedback loop there of if we're asking you not to park here, we are providing an alternative since we are a bike friendly city. And you know, we want to be friendly for folks
Definitely, yes.
who are visiting. My question would be, I know we've gotten some feedback that there's potentially a disconnect when we're trying to send a request down to parks and some other committees also as well. And I'd love to hear from you what we can do better as far as being more clear and not wasting your time when we have and ask?
I think and I can just speak on my experience. I don't want to take the collective of the board. From my experience from being on the board, I feel that having the ex officio there is one really important role, because I think that's where we can really have the person there kind of create that inner communication from both. I think there was a time in our meeting previously, I believe it was when you weren't able to attend, and we didn't even realize the ex officio was present or there or not. And I think it's important to use that time to where we can get the feedback of what can be relayed to us that we can work on, or that was possibly that none of us were able to attend this council meeting and hear from what council was suggestion that we do. So I think in my perspective, that ex officio communication is really critical in kind of us learning from council and what those objectives of what we're working towards, and then taking back to council maybe the feedback and that correspondence, because I know a lot of things can be missed. We ourselves may not have been able to catch on or see what happened during council meetings. And if we didn't see the council meeting before, then we missed what we should have worked on, or what was said or what was not said. I think that ex officio can be a person in each of those meetings, can be a perfect person to relay back and forth the meeting. And
That's fantastic. And just to kind of echo some concerns that we've heard about the volume on some of these council recordings. If, for example, you were going back and you wanted to watch the 5 minutes where we were talking about sending something down to parks, has that been available to you? Are you able to hear us on the recording and get some meaningful information
I mean,
from that, or is it?
I'm gonna be honest, I usually have been coming to the meetings. I've only been able to watch bits and pieces of them because they have been a little bit longer. So I haven't been able sometimes to watch them thoroughly. We have had Lori really been a true component of being able to bring up and remind us of things that have been brought and be able to catch us up on. Council had said this, or we should discuss this, or, you know, remind us on the part. But I also don't feel that it's, us being on board, I also don't want to rely on city staff to be the ones doing kind of like our homework for us. It should be our, you know, we should be the ones doing, that's what we're on the board.
Hence me wanting to make sure that if you wanted to go hear from the collective horse's mouth, if you will, that you can access the recording and that it's.
Definitely, and I know where the recording is at. I mean, it is one that I do always go in and watch, and I think we're all aware of it. I think most of us, yeah, I've been able to, I mean, yeah, you can kind of, there's been a little bit of back and forth, but I've been able to watch the videos play back. Fine.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the feedback. I really appreciate all the help.
So I want to say, I attended the last Parks meeting and, I was really happy to get his work that I seen. Because I look at the parks and I'm trying to figure out the parking situation, how this kitchen is not that great for like Reynolds. And with the parking situation, you're trying to figure out where you can put people to park for the bikes, where it help the city financially, by putting them downtown. That kind of holistic, you know, action is great, and I want to thank you for that. I would not have thought of like, oh yeah, what about that? Or maybe put them closer to Kim's Market and the last riding wall. Or maybe make a spot for them where, you know, they want to buy ice cream cone, you know, who knows, right? So thanks for that.
Definitely, I will
that's
take,
very nice.
I will take that back to the board. It's all of us collectively. It's not just one person. I think we're, like, keep referring to that. I think we're all in there with the same mindset that we enjoy that aspect of it and we want to collectively truly participate in what the parks can be and mean and bring back to the community. Yeah, so I will definitely take back the feedback to the board. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And we also have an Elephant Garlic Festival award proclamation. I'm not sure who's presenting that. Is that? Patty, Bill?
Normally the mayor reads it, but I can read it or Bill can read it if you don't want to.
If you were gonna read that whole thing, I'll let you do it. Please go ahead.
No, go ahead and read it. Okay. And I see some NPEA folks in the audience. Hello there.
Please.
Just listening. Welcome to talk if you like. Proclamation honoring the North Plains Event Association and the North Plains Elephant Garlic Festival. Whereas the North Plains Event Association, NPEA, has demonstrated outstanding dedication to fostering community spirit, organizing events, and enhancing the cultural and economic vitality of North Plains. And whereas since its inception in 1998, the North Plains Elephant Garlic Festival has evolved from a small community gathering, which originally started in 1994 and went by the name of the North Plains Days, and grown into a beloved annual tradition, attracting visitors from near and far, while showcasing the unique agricultural heritage of the region. And whereas the festival's origins can be traced to local grower Bob Gnaus, whose vision, thank you, whose vision and enthusiasm led to the celebration of elephant garlic as a signature feature of North Plains, distinguishing it among community festivals in Oregon and beyond. And whereas the festival remains a volunteer-driven event made possible through the dedication of local organizations such as the North Plains Event Association, the Knights of Pythias, the North Plains Christian Church, St. Edward's Catholic Church, and other community partners whose effort ensures its continued success. And whereas the North Plains Event Association has been recognized for its excellence with the North Plains Garlic Festival, being awarded by Oregon Festivals and Events the Ovation Award for Best Festival in Oregon with a budget under $150,000, demonstrating its ability to create a high-quality, engaging event with community-driven resources. And whereas the festival plays a vital role in promoting North Plains, bringing awareness to the city, supporting local businesses, and fostering a sense of unity and pride among residents. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the North Plains Event Association and the North Plains Elephant Garlic Festival are hereby recognized and honored for their contributions to the community, their commitment to tradition, and their role in making North Plains a vibrant and welcoming city.
We did have an award. We did. We had a wonderful award. Sherry Simmons is our president. Patty is our coordinator and vice president of North Plains Events Association. Stuart King is our treasurer for the MPEA. Lisa is our
Volunteer coordinator. I wasn't part of this last year, but.
she's now our volunteer
Lisa
coordinator.
Who was part of this for last year.
Right. And I'm the secretary of the organization. We've been together since 2012. And as a group for the NPEA, being on the city events. I feel like the president should be speaking.
No, you're a much better speaker than I am.
That's okay.
And then Russ Sheldon,
Yes.
who could not make it this evening. He is also a board member and backup secretary as well for our organization. And, you know, over the years, we have hundreds, thousands probably of hours of volunteer for this community and to build community in the various city events and the Elephant Garlic Festival. It takes hundreds of volunteers. I know Stuart and his family, his boys especially, have been instrumental in helping, you know, with everything, set up, helping vendors in and out, setting up fencing, signs, stinky, you know, you name it. So this group is a pretty amazing group, if I may say so myself. And I'm not just saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying that because we put in a lot of heart, a lot of sweat and tears, and a lot of long hours throughout the year. Usually start, you know, when the festival ends in August, we're preparing for next festival in October.
Wow.
Right, so it's a pretty spectacular thing, and it was such an honor for us to be recognized at the state level of being a pretty incredible festival.
Well, first of all, congratulations. That's a big kudos. I was just curious, you guys have all been a part of this festival for so long. What's a personal, like, what's that thing about the festival each of you like look forward to the most every year? Like for me, it's the elephant ears. I just wanna hear, what's your favorite?
That's what we've done. Being done.
About 6:30 on Sunday.
Okay.
I'll just mention that I've been involved since the first Elephant Garlic Festival in 1998. And before that, I was with the chamber, which was putting it on at the time. And it was the North Plains days before that, and I was involved in that for a couple of years. When I first joined the chamber. And I came up with the concept of the mascot Stinky, and was proud to have my son fill that position. So, and the best part I get is I help him walk around because it's a little difficult to walk around in the costume. But all the kids that run up and just wanna hug him and stuff like that. So that's the biggest thing I get out of it, is the people and the joy they get.
It's a great show, thank you.
And to add to that, my favorite part is I like creating an event where people who have their own business can come and sell their wares. And I like being able to do that for them. So.
I think the vendors, I helped Sherry set up and take down, and the vendors have come year after year, and they look forward to this festival, not only financially for them, but they look forward to this festival because of the community that all of the vendors have created for themselves. Yes, they follow, each other from events to events throughout the year, and the state and that sort of thing. But they come together here and they really form this family. So like when, someone gets married or has a baby or passes away or retires, the vendors know about it and they come together and really support each other. So I think that's one thing that I look forward to the most, So that's really fun. Yep.
1998, I wasn't born yet. But no, you guys have really created something that's puts North Plains on the map because of identity. I was around Sandy, Oregon, drinking rum at like a rum shop. And the owner says, hey, you're talking to your wife about North Plains. How do I get in on that garlic festival? Just drinking rum, talking to my wife about my festival coming up. This guy knew about it. Sandy, Oregon. So thank you. Your hard work.
Oh, they're
It's coming from far
All
away.
over the world. In 2011, we were voted the 10th best in the world for the Garlic Festival, in the world.
Wow.
So
Yeah, you guys created something nice. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Garlic. Excellent job, folks. It matters.
I'll just say, so when I was living in the county, Bob Knows, when I was the American Legion, recruited me to go work at the American Legion. Then he got me for 2 years. It saved me time, so I have to find parking. It's a lot easier just walking. But I miss Bob. He was a great guy.
He
He
was.
meant a lot to all of us, and so we really appreciate it.
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank
And a very well-deserved award. And as Councilor Page was saying, yes, as I go east to places, I am surprised if they're from North Plains, oh, the Elephant Garlic Festival, or tell us about that, we see the sign, or, oh, we'll go, or people have come out just on learning more about it, and, or they already know, and they say, oh, yeah, we know all about North Plains, we know about the Elephant Garlic Festival. And then that's what they know about it, and, it really has put us on the map, and I want to say thank you.
I just want to just thank you and congratulations just for all your hard work. I can only imagine all of the behind the scenes that has to happen to bring such a huge event to life. So thank you. I also want to say that I, for years, drove down Highway 26 and always saw the sign before I had moved to North Plains, and like, oh yeah, I want to check that out one year, and then never did. And I moved to North Plains in 2014, and shortly, I think the next year, one of maybe Terry or Sherry, one of you recruited me to drive the golf carts. And I remember showing up and being like, is this the same Jessie Mays. This is a totally different world, and it's just truly magical to see how such a shared meeting space can transform, and we get to share that with other people outside of our community as well. And just overall, just thank you, because again, it puts North Plains on the map, and I think it's always fun, you know, like inviting a guest over to your house and you get to see your little slice of heaven. So just thank you again for all of the hard work each one of you do, not just for Garlic Festival, for the entire year as well.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
That brings us to staff reports. Robin, I think you're up.
Main Council. Just a couple updates to the report that was in the packet. Today, Bill and I attended a WCCLS work session in Hillsborough for several hours, and this was a continuation of working on the service area boundaries for the member libraries in the Washington County Cooperative Library Services, and as well as a new funding formula. And so far, I'd say things are progressing as I projected when I presented about the budget to you. So that's encouraging. Also this week, I wanted to share that it's the Oregon Library Association Conference. It's in Eugene this year. This year, Emily West and Eric Danko are attending the whole conference. I'm attending Thursday only. And we rotate all the library staff through attending this conference when it's closer, like Salem, it was last year, we're able to send more people and some part-time staff, but everyone gets an opportunity. So you're well represented at the Oregon Library Association. Any questions about my report or update? I've provided a few updates in the Friday 5, but I can recognize Brianna Sawinski also here in the meeting for her achievement of being admitted to the Leadership Institute of the Oregon Library Association. That's a great, I wrote a letter of support of her, and it's a great accomplishment that she was able to do that. And the announcement of promoting Jason Crane, our on-call library assistant, to library supervisor. That was also in your email updates, but I just want to say how very pleased I am to have Jason starting next Monday as our library supervisor.
Super. Those are great updates. I really appreciate it. And it sounds like some exciting things are happening.
I just want to say, thank you, Robin. And one thing that I think we haven't acknowledged in your report is that for such a small library that we have here in North Plains, that the role that you have taken on in terms of serving the community, but also in terms of mentoring and promoting and growing your staff in their careers for the future, whether that occurs in North Plains or beyond. And that we've consistently heard over and over again. So I want to say
thank you.
Is there gonna be a summer reading program? When does that kick off?
Is there?
Is
Yes,
there?
there certainly is. We always start the 1st of June, and then we also table at the Ice Cream Social, where we get probably the majority of our initial signups. And so we'll be doing that again this year. Looking forward to it.
Do we get a pre-read on the theme, or is that inappropriate?
Level up. About last year.
That's okay. You don't have to know off the top of your head. I was purely just curious.
I'm just getting it, I think I'm getting it mixed up with the National Library Week theme, so I won't say it publicly in case I'm wrong.
That is totally fine. I will be excited to find out along with everybody else.
Yeah. And we visit all the elementary school classrooms in North Plains, both schools, to promote the summer reading program.
in years past, they had the opportunity for US City Council, it was arranged by the library, I think, to read to the kindergartners, first graders.
I mean, on their field trip?
No, just to go to their rooms and read, and get library books. I did it like twice. I think it was with the library, or it just showed up and read the kids.
It might not have been through the library unless it was before I was
I
in
hope that's
office.
in the library, right?
Check in with the office first.
It might not have. It might not have been through the library unless it was before I was here. Was it
Okay.
maybe through the
I don't know
the
when it was,
PTO?
but I really enjoyed it because I had the books upside down, and I was like, how do I read this? And the kid's like, no, we can do it,
Oh,
So it's kind of fun,
sounds great.
yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that's something that we could talk with our couple of principals about
maybe.
opportunities for, because I share the same kind of background with elementary school kids, and I would love to find some crossover ways that we can engage with our younger constituents. Yes.
Just to piggyback on that, I actually am volunteering coming up here in a few weeks, and you, at least for Equality in North Plains Elementary, you just need to be on the Hillsborough School District approved volunteer list.
No, I was wondering if it's something that we're gonna put the city or something like that.
That I don't.
I can show up, I'm already.
But even just
I
to
would
show up,
think
you need to be on,
Yeah, yeah.
you need to be in the classroom and,
Yeah, I teach very important, I already got that curriculum done.
perfect, yep. But you can go to the Hillsborough School District website and, apply and get fingerprinted and be cleared to go in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melvin.
I have for you outside of the report that I submitted, was a quick update I received from the DA's office. They recently received some grant funding to help combat some retail theft in Washington County. And as part of that, they have a program rolling out, it's a grant opportunity for small and medium-sized retail businesses, it's a security grant. And so, for security systems, cameras and that kind of stuff, upgrading. I pushed that out to our local chamber, hopefully it gets out to the business community, but I just wanted to share it here also, because it didn't make it into this report. That that's an up and coming opportunity for local businesses here in North Plains to maybe explore as an opportunity to help a funding source as far as increasing their security here. So I thought that was a positive. Coming out of the DA's office, some really good grant work coming out of their office recently. So I wanted to share that with the group. And outside of that, I'm open to questions.
I mean, no serious ones, but have you guys tested the tables on each other yet?
We were offered the opportunity and nobody has said.
No?
Yeah, no.
Come on.
Yeah.
Don't everybody volunteer at once.
Right. We've all done it once and that's plenty. Yeah.
They're so cool. They were up to me on the walls and they
Yeah, Lori was
make
impressed.
them wider and narrower.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Valid question. Anything else? Okay, all
I
right,
think we're all.
perfect. Thank you.
Questions or were we doing something else for public?
Brian Feeney, did you have anything you wanted to report? With Dustin's out this week, so, but Brian is online if he has anything he wanted to add.
Yeah, there's nothing I need to add on to our report unless there's any questions from council.
Brian, I appreciate you being available, but I think the report is perfectly clear. Appreciate
All
it.
right. You guys have a good evening then.
You too.
I just have a quick update for you.
Yeah.
Unless you have any questions for the staff report. As you guys are probably aware of, the grant that the city sent out for the code update was not granted, unfortunately. And so that has created a situation where we're trying to figure out, what's next? How can we go try and find some new dollars to address this need that we have to do a comprehensive code update? And we've not been able to identify a source yet. But I do know that there are some things that people would like to talk about when it comes to the code. And there are probably some little housekeeping things that we can do in-house now, to try and move some things along to address some people's concerns. And so I think that might be a good topic to add to your May 14th work session with the planning commission. So in addition to having the work session on the RAC and continuing that conversation, maybe at the end of that, we could talk a little bit about the code, what we can do to help with an update, and maybe chat a little bit about the 1 acre parcel over in Sunset Ridge and just kind of where that stands and how the code interacts with that parcel, as well as the master plan approvals that were provided for the Sunset Ridge development. So if you guys are interested in that, then I'll let Bill know, and we'll make that part of the work session for you. But other than that, I'm just here to answer any questions you may have.
That's a good idea.
I think,
Do we all agree?
Yeah.
yeah, I think addressing whatever code updates we can, in-house sounds like a wonderful topic for May 14th.
Okay, yeah, we'll add that to the agenda and prepare some information for you then. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's go back over to the PDF real quick of the agenda. One sec. Okay, I don't have much to add. No, I don't have to. I'm just looking at my report in the agenda packet, so I think we're okay. There isn't much to add. I mean, the bottom line really is, through the end of March, the city's, I think except for one department, the city's operating at or below budget. Our community development department, within the general fund budget, is going to end the year above budget for the department, but the general fund overall is, shaping up to land under, unless there's any big surprises moving forward. Water revenues are picking up with kind of warmer weather, so we've seen some uptick in water sales. And so the next couple of months is really the acceleration in water sales of people watering the lawn, that sort of thing, as weather gets warmer. So the monthly revenue is going to pick up, and we should come in a little bit over, at or a little bit over projection for revenue for the water fund. I mean, for the most part, except for, like I said, except for one general fund department, we're looking pretty good, I would say. Nothing else to report overall. So folks are pretty conservative with things. So we try to operate, within our means and budget and as much as possible. So anyway, question,
Bill, so you said in the report, the space age fuel tanks cause a little shortfall. Are we just gonna slow down some of the construction, or what's the plan to deal with it? I was just curious. I'm assuming.
Yeah, so with the fuel tank, no, it's a great question. So with the fuel tanks, if them doing the work, they're not selling gas, and if they're not selling gas, they're not paying a local fuel tax. It's just to kind of talk, the train of events. And so basically what it's doing is it's brought our monthly fuel tax revenue probably down to about 60-ish%.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we really only have two gas stations. We only have two gas stations in town, retail gas stations in town, that are paying the fuel tax. The fuel tax revenue that we get goes into the transportation bond fund to make to basically be the majority of the debt service payments on that bond, that $6 million bond. We might have to supplement a little bit with some of the interest we've earned. I don't see the fund being negatively impacted.
I assume.
Yeah, it's an interest probably making up for it thing.
Bill, we can explain how that works. We have that projection of the tax revenue we have. And then with that, we take a fund that can fund that and spend all the money at once.
Right.
To get, some good economy scale going on, how those things spread out. So the money's been spent as in projects that are being Gantt charted across.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's good to know that we already had a plan. I assume we did. I was curious since it popped up.
Yeah.
And Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that once that gas station changed ownership, we actually started to see an increase in revenue because they were more competitive with pricing.
That is correct. They've been successful in selling more gas, doing a better job marketing apparently, and so that did boost revenues as well. So it's, you know, when they get the tanks back in, they're gonna be, we'll be seeing more than projected, because our projections are based on a previous operator who, you know, didn't market as much and didn't quite do as well.
It has seemed pretty busy recently.
Yeah, they asked to add more stalls, but we said no. Is that right?
I think that's an ODOT thing. I'm not sure.
Okay, but did somebody said there's a no. You know, it's
That, Steve, you still here? Did we say no to new gas tanks over at did we say no to new gas tanks at the additional gas tanks at Space Age or no?
They replaced the in-ground tanks, that happened. You probably saw the work going on over there with the fencing and whatnot, that happened, the in-ground tanks. They have not come forward yet with an application to add more pumps. They've revisited us on that conversation, but an application has not come forward. We do have some concerns with turning radiuses, truck movements, stacking of vehicles with the design that we saw previously. It really confines that site. So those questions are kind of ongoing right now. Once we get a pre-application meeting scheduled, it'll be with ODOT and the county to address that intersection right there at, what is that? Is that Hillcrest right there? Or I can't remember. And Glencoe.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the other thing that will come up is that the Hillcrest intersection is within the ODOT traffic control zone. So we actually can't see, like, you know, there, you know, near McDonald's and there's different vacant lots kind of near that intersection. We actually can't see anything come in new or expand that adds a lot of trips, because that would be over the trip control number for the interchange with Glencoe Road and Highway 26.
already pretty hard to go.
Yeah, so we'll see what their expansion plans are, but that would be part of the review process.
That's very helpful. All right, doesn't look like we have anything under unfinished business. And for new business, we talked about moving the bank signer from our consent agenda. Well, thank you so much for drafting that. As far as why we're doing this, based on my existing experience with audit controls for federal agencies and reporting requirements, I'm personally choosing not to add myself to the city bank account at this time, but I hope to revisit this topic in the future once some open questions around check signing authority levels and segregation of duties are resolved, with process documentation updated, including transparency to council and the community. But for the moment, Bill, maybe you can help us understand what someone might be signing up for if we have another member of council who's willing to.
Sure, yeah, sure. So basically, we tend to have 2 city councilors as signers on the bank account and basically as for an emergency backup. You know, if we currently have 2 staff signers, the city manager and the library director. And if both of us are sick and checks need to be signed, we just kind of need an emergency backup. In my time here, no city councilor has been asked to actually sign a check. It's kind of purely emergency. So incidents of signing any checks, you know, that go through the process, it's probably minimal. I would just be surprised if you're ever asked, but it's just to have 2 elected officials.
How, 2 elected officials, who is the president and the mayor?
Right, and we have council president, so we need 1 more.
And you don't want to do because what?
Some concerns with the process.
I'm happy to do it. I'm available.
Yeah.
In town a lot. Since I retired, so I'll throw that out there.
Yeah, I get it too. I mean, if it's emergency, then someone's on fire, we gotta pay for emergency, whatever, I'll do it too. Whatever he wants to do, it's fine.
Well, so just procedurally, the resolution before you doesn't have a name there yet. So I think the first thing you all as a body need to do is decide who you'd like that to be. And then you can pass. Okay, yeah, okay. And then it's all up to you to then
amend the resolution and then approve the resolution as amended.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
And Mayor Goodwin, I just want to ask maybe if you could help provide some more insight, because I'm curious why you wouldn't want to be able to and would ask one of us to do that or take on that risk.
Well, it's entirely up to you whether you choose to. I personally am deciding not to for the reasons that I specified, and I don't want to rabbit hole down further what my concerns are in public session, but if you have a question privately, I'm happy to explain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Councilman Paulus.
Yeah.
Is
Which-
nominated.
I very much appreciate that. I'm personally comfortable with it.
I'll
To,
second.
okay,
We need a nomination.
Oh, sorry, I'll nominate Councilman Paulus.
I was sick of that.
all right. Any further discussion, or do we feel ready to make a decision? Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Let's go ahead and amend the resolution, and then do we need to vote again?
So, yeah, so do I need to read the whole thing?
No, just, I don't think there's nothing, no, just move to approve resolution number 2300 as amended.
So I move to approve resolution number 2300 as amended. Councilman Paulus as the sign.
Perfect.
I second.
Okay.
Now we all vote.
Any discussion on the motion?
No discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you so much for taking care of that housekeeping, folks.
And this is a point of one thing, but we kind of left the finance activities. I had one more question about the finance manager position. If that's all right.
Do you want to ask it under city manager report? Because that's what we're doing next. That might be logical.
I thought we did that. I thought we already did that for the finance. Okay.
No, city manager isn't under the rest of them. It goes all the staff reports, unfinished business, new business, and then city manager report. So this is perfect.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay. All righty. So item 12A, city manager report.
The finance manager position has been open through the 21st of this month. I'm assuming we're not getting a lot of people because everybody's engaged and they don't want to leave their current activities. Get it to the end of May. It'd be better to do the end of June to give people a chance to wrap up their budgets.
Thank you, Councilor Page. It's a very good question. Yeah,
July.
I would like, I mean, realistically speaking, I want to extend it through the end of May. Through the end of May, anybody who is senior at a city or another public agency that has the experience we need will be done with the budget process. Because in June, yeah, because in June it goes to adoption for all the agencies. So by May, they will know to apply if they want to leave, that sort of thing. It might end up needing to be extended to June. I would hope not, but the next extension I want to do is to the end of May. So that because the folks we want to try to hire are senior, if not managing the budget process for their agency. And they're just busy right now, you know.
Yeah, I just want to get the best candidates out there.
I totally agreed. We have gotten some good candidates. They've all unfortunately been hoping for 100% remote work. From Eugene, from the East Coast. We actually had someone who used to work for USAID, no local agency experience, never lived in Oregon or familiar with Oregon anything. Bright person, but all wanting 100% remote workplace. And for us, that doesn't work.
East Coast.
Unfortunately, I know.
How's that?
They can do two jobs at once.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but thank you for the question. I think you're spot on with the idea, yes, Mike, we do want good people. Who we're trying to recruit are just really busy right now. And so end of May, contingency end of June.
I would say even just considering mid-June to sort of get them casted and then they can be working on their applications.
Yeah, I'm totally open. I just know it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be before the end of May. I mean, that we'd be lucky.
Has there been any thought of potentially partnering with an accounting firm to add capacity, even if it's only temporary?
Well, we're currently paying, we currently have Marina and Company who are used to be city auditors, but they are a Oregon public agency, financial consultant, payroll, assistance, audit, with actually, they work with us on audit prep as well as just kind of payroll and some other reporting. Bank rec assistance and recommendations and all those. So actually, they work hands-on with us on bank rec. So somebody actually external to the city is always looking at bank reconciliation for, so that's why when somebody said, what are your eyes on, worried about fraud, that sort of thing. Staff and somebody at Marina always sees that every month. So, but that firm we're having help us. But you know, we want to have somebody internally so that we can really just have no choke point on things, as well as we're not, you know, paying their bill rate.
I had a question, now I made a note to myself. Oh, I was hoping to understand more about what's happening with Jessie Mays based on some brief mentions in our packet. Particularly whether we're removing trees and how it relates to the overall plan for the community space. It was kind of hard for me to find the information and I haven't seen anything publicized. Can you help us with an overview?
That is a Dustin and Brian, go ahead.
I was gonna say Dustin reported on that to us, and they also talked about it at the Parks Commission that they're going to be putting in trees. They have a grant to add more trees into the perimeter of the area here.
So adding but not removing?
No, it wasn't about removing, it was about adding in trees. I mean, if there's any removal, it's or to enhance that whole piece. But I remember he reported on that to us a couple of months ago.
So I think people.
Oh, and we have, go ahead, sure. We have someone from the parks here.
It is removed.
Oh,
The plan is they are gonna be removing the trees from the perimeter. But they will be replacing because those trees are almost end of life.
right.
There's branches that are just dropping and it's a liability. So
They do it when they put the sidewalks.
after they do the sidewalks, they'll be planting trees.
They're adding in new trees though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
Okay.
honestly, this is something that people are gonna care about. Would the council be okay with pausing this project and getting some more community engagement? Because,
I think it's already gone through a grant and approval and committee.
but
And
not
we
the
could put it out
community
in the
engagement
newsletter.
piece.
And it was spoke during a Parks Board meeting as well a few months ago.
Yeah, but this isn't a unilateral decision. Something like this, in a town our size, Jessie Mays really is the crown jewel of our parks system, and I don't want to be the person who voted to chop down the trees without talking to folks more before we do that.
Well, I think they did their due diligence and it's not just what happened since we got here in January. So this has been going on for a while in terms of all the planning pieces for that, getting the information, having people look at the trees, coming up with a plan to replace the trees, getting the grant money to do that, putting all of those things in place. And, you know, I think maybe it would behoove us to put out more information, maybe an article within the newsletter that explains that that's coming and why and what's going on with the trees. And that the new ones will be in and the sidewalks, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, this space belongs to the public, and I just wouldn't feel comfortable proceeding without real confidence that our constituents are aware and on board with this decision-making process.
Well, we do have representative democracy where we get the decisions and that everything to the direct vote, which is nice. Glad people don't really.
Is this like an awareness concern?
It is, because effectively this is our living room, and if we make big changes that people aren't aware are coming down the pike, then they feel done to, not done for. And that's really my concern, that how we show up for our community and the message that we send, even if we arrive at the same point, because that's what needs to happen. We need to bring people along with us on the journey. So I'd like to pause this and maybe we leverage the ice cream social.
I don't think this is something that gets paused.
So this project was adopted as it's part of a capital improvement plan that's adopted. It is part of the 23-25 budget for the transportation bond fund that was adopted in June of 2023. So this is a long known process. So I would strongly advise, I mean, it's a project, it's an active project now. So we can work on communicating about it. That's fine, but it's a project that's adopted moving forward and funding secured. So now would not be the time to yank it.
I guess I'm just worried that if we polled 100 of our residents, how many of them know that this is even happening? And I don't want us to have another miss where we haven't involved our
I
community.
think it'd be good to hear from the rest of council on, because unless there's consensus on anything, then we need to move on.
Go ahead, start first, I guess.
Sure, I'll go. I absolutely hear your concern and wanting the community to be informed and. I'm actually going through the website right now to see if I can provide the link because I have been on the city website and I've actually seen the master plan for the tree plan around Jesse Mays. That's just accessible right to the public on the website. Give me a few minutes and I can definitely find it. And I've also attended a parks meeting just a few months ago as ex officio, where this was also discussed in a public setting. And my memory serves me correctly, it was an empty audience and maybe one person joined at the tail end again to a public meeting. And again, we're trying to include the community in that response, and community is not dialing in to parks meetings. They're not dialing in to a lot of different things, right? And so you can lead a horse to water, right? Like I know we love our metaphors, but if the horse isn't drinking it, there's only so much we can do. And I don't mean that in a closed-minded way of we can't inform the public, right? And I thank you to everyone that's here tonight. However, there are a lot of things at stake and a lot of pieces that are already in motion for us to just try to pull a power rank and say, nope, actually, we need to pause this and send a mailing out to every single resident. And so I hear your concern and I wanna respect that. But I'm looking at the bigger picture of the city, right? And the things that are in progress. So I'll pause there, but I do not think we should pause removing the trees. Again, the bigger picture is these are damaged trees. It's not, we're just cutting them down just for fun. There's a reason why. And that planning part of we're gonna plant new trees to come for generations to come. So I'll pass it down to Councilor Hagedorn.
I hear your concern, Mayor. Trees are good. We live in the green state, tree state, right? I think before jumping, I think like voice of customer is important before drawing conclusions too, right? I think proactive communication might be good to see if there is even a concern, right? And that's why we have Therese, that's her specialty, and maybe she can package up like a piece that will inform and give a visual illustration of what to expect to maybe put some concerns at ease.
Yeah, just point out, trees for a long while before, did this kind of communication at the Port of Vancouver. And the Port of Vancouver does a lot of things, development and balancing environmental concern. So I think she'd be very, very happy to do that.
So my concern is, I understand that you want to have everybody agree or be aware of it and have but that's kind of the reason why we have the city council. It's representative government. We can't have everybody plugged in all the time to make decisions. We may not be the best decisions. We may be engineers or whatever jobs we have, but we're putting our time to focus on these things for this. So just because somebody puts on Facebook that, hey, how do they attend trees? That's not the whole community. And maybe people, hey, do you want trees torn down? No. Okay, you know that they're gonna fall someday. Oh, okay. I don't think we can do anything to actually remediate this. I don't know much about trees. I'm not an arborist.
Neither am I, but I mean, this is my same soapbox of.
We're gonna go down to all the council.
Let's let all the councilors speak, please. Councilman Paul.
So, I hear the concerns too, and, but I think the real concern is about the communication. And there's a lot that goes on in the city of day-to-day operations that none of us know all of it. None of us can know all of it. I mean, maybe our staff does, but the rest of us, there's so much really in all the pieces that are happening. And I think we also have to trust and learn to work with the people and the job they're doing. This was a previous process. It's been going on for a long time. It has gone through all of its processes in terms of council meetings, in terms of publications. We had Dustin present that document to us and show us the trees and how they were gonna be around the perimeter, the new trees, and knew that was coming. And so I understand it may take some people by surprise, and we have an opportunity to really pump up our communication piece here. So yes, we can be, it's not gonna happen immediately either. It's gonna happen over time. So we can be, you know, we can be at the ice cream social. We can be at things before that. And we can put that information out there and tell people what's happening and answer questions and talk to them. And explain, you know, the lifespan of trees and that sort of thing, and why it's more of a hazard to have old trees rather than the new ones. And I do not believe that we should stop the process where we are now.
Councilor Rogan.
I hear the concern about the communication, and this is, I agree, this is our living room. And the trees are important. Knowing now that there's a plan to replace them, I feel more comfortable. And I think communicating that in the newsletter is really important as well. And social media and all the ways that we can do that. So I don't agree. I don't wanna stop the process now.
So I'll just say I hear the concern, I agree with it. I also hear everybody else's opinions and agree with that. And I don't want to get in the way of getting this done because it will be replaced and it looks great. And I'm not a big fan of change. Just look at my front yard. It's finally done. It's great now, but I was not a fan and I was yelling at people when it was happening. I'm just being transparent and I apologize to people I yelled at, but it looks great now and my wife was right. So that's on recording now. So.
I had an idea that I just want to throw out before I forget it, but perhaps turning a negative into a positive and letting people pick from it. Vote for a type of tree, you know, and shape a community. You guys probably have already picked out the design, but
I think we're also talking about like adopt a tree.
love that all together.
They have specific ones that can.
See, and programs like that to bring people in, and it would maybe make it a little less bitter.
I think there's a middle ground.
Yeah.
We give a tree cutting event. Just.
You know, I did work for a watching company, so I can help you out there.
Alrighty, I'll go ahead and cede on that, but it's the same soapbox that I hop up on. I feel like every meeting that it is our responsibility to meet people where they're at and not expect them to go find something buried on a website or come to a city council meeting. This is the kind of change that our community has asked for, and better communication is a huge piece of it. That has to be proactive.
Had we known, you know, had we known this was sort of this immediate issue or had been coming up with the questions of, you know, I went to the spaghetti volunteer dinner. I could have talked about it there with people, you know, and said, you know, talked about the park. But, you know, that wasn't one that we know. Now it's on my radar and I, as a counselor, will take that into the future.
Super. I appreciate that. Anything else for our city manager?
Yes, as a matter of fact. So we did get some public comment and not for the city council meeting, but we did get some comment, basically asking if, when, or why the city has not yet had a surety bond on the city manager for risk for the city manager and me and job done. And in the code, there is a provision where the city manager needs to have a bond. Used to say in the old code, $25,000, but there needs to be a bond basically insuring against malfeasance, bad judgment, that sort of thing by the city manager. That was passed back in December, and during the process of kind of looking into whether or not you know, how much and what the insurer would really, with the change in code in December, eliminating a fixed amount in the code for the surety bond, $25,000. Council directed me to look into how much should the surety bond be for if we don't have $25,000 specifically in the code. And the surety bond, the insurance company that we have, that a lot of cities have, Assured Partners, they let me know a couple of things. Number one, this city currently has a good faith and embezzlement policy of $250,000, which because the city has the policy, that policy with that coverage, that specific policy is actually redundant of a surety bond on a city manager. And the $250,000 amount is far exceeds what the surety bond would, you know, what a reasonable surety bond would be on the city manager. So it was the, not, it was the, I wouldn't say advice, they wouldn't say, we advise you not to get a surety. What they did was they shared, you don't have to get a surety bond if you want to pay the extra money, because according to this Oregon state statute, you're already covered for that risk. So a surety bond would just be more money spent for the same thing you're covered for. So the issue, you know, after chatting with the former mayor and them having kind of discussing it, the redundancy was deemed not necessary. But here we are, we got comment as to why the city doesn't have a surety bond on the city manager. And so I communicated to you all an email about this earlier last week, and I let you know that I would follow the advice of the city manager, or excuse me, the city attorney, whatever that was. And the city attorney basically said, either get the surety bond, which would cost us $125 a year. It's not an expensive thing. Or update your code to eliminate the bond requirement because it's redundant for what statute requires. So I have asked Assured Partners to basically come up with a bond and get it, and it's $125 for $25,000. With the amount of coverage that we already have under the policy, $25,000 bond is certainly more than sufficient, and so that's what is being drawn up. But you all have that choice as council. And so I put it out there, but right now I am going towards code compliance with the bond, and it would be $25,000, recognizing you already have that other coverage. So that's where we are.
So I'm not really a big fan of paper stuff we don't need. I'm not. I mean, people love insurance for some unknown reason. Pretty much you assure you can't. And also only that, people have high deductibles all over the place, it's crazy. The Lee ordinance cities covers some fees too, right? Not the, but the joint insurance, yeah.
CIS.
Yes,
Yeah.
they also cover that as well, right?
City, county, yeah.
So we're getting triple insurance?
Well, I wouldn't say triple, it's just the coverage that we have already indemnifies the city on this map.
Would it be possible to have allied partners come in and give us kind of a, like, compare contrast so we can kind of understand?
If it's cheaper to.
Yeah, no, no, Alicia would be more, actually, back before you were sworn in, she said standing offer to come in for a work session and talk about insurance. So absolutely.
Not because I love to talk about insurance, but I know like it's highly nuanced.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like we have a financial responsibility and obligation, and knowledge is power, and making good decisions is important everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that would be really helpful.
She threw the offer out before January 6th when you were sworn in, so it's just a matter of letting her know, yep, we're ready.
Yeah.
I would generally lean towards what Councilor Fay said, but since Councilor Hagelin brought that up, I would like to get more information, but generally I'm lean towards changing the code.
As long as not vote for the speech.
So, say that again.
She'll do it for free, right? That's part of her.
Absolutely.
Good.
This is just, this is client assistance, yes. Mhm.
So to change the code, is that an ordinance to change it or a resolution to change it?
It's city code, so be an ordinance.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
So I like the idea of talking with Alicia. Do we want to, does anybody else feel like they would like to hear that? We've got 4 of us. Let's go ahead and
Sure.
move forward. I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads.
Yeah, I don't think this time sensitive either, so whatever.
And since we're already covered, I don't think the surety bond is time sensitive
So,
either, so we hear about.
I would suggest maybe a pause on the surety bond while we figure this out. If
Yeah,
that's-
since we're already covered.
I mean, but I would also ask city attorney before we do
Exactly.
anything.
Yeah.
City has discretionary authority when to enforce its code, and you can exercise your discretion in this instance not to enforce that bond requirement until you get more information.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. I want to make sure we're legally.
very low,
Thank you.
very.
So do you want us to formalize that, yes, we would like this on a future agenda, or did we get that from our nodding heads?
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Yes, I think it's consensus,
and so if
but
I
not
might,
time sensitive.
so that will be about 10 minutes of conversation. So which I'll just kind of,
Yeah.
I'll do the whole dog and pony show, but focus on that for a while too.
Yeah, my opinion would be use your discretion on when you think it'll fit on the work sessions, because I know we got a few coming. That's my personal
I agree.
opinion.
Yeah, so that was fine.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Yeah, and if it's really that short, then it probably isn't its own work session, then maybe we can
Just be an agenda.
slot it in as an agenda item rather than a work session to make it more
Yeah.
agile.
Yeah, we can give her 20 minutes or whatever under presentations on the actual business meeting and not a work session.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
That'd be great.
I think that sounds super. All right, that brings us, if you're done,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
council reports. Anyone have something that they want to share?
I'm kind of speaking about money, and I see Chris is right here. You weren't, when we had city council meetings for the longest time when I was, here, you weren't at every council meeting. How much money is this costing us? And you've been at every single council meeting, or your firm has been for a long time. Do you know how much money this is draining us out of? I'm not saying draining, you guys
Wow.
sitting here and, give us loyal advice is nice and all, but how much is this costing?
You want me to discuss our firm's rates?
Or can we get a, maybe not right now, but can we get something
Yeah,
Well, I-
yes, you can.
with like, how much have we spent a year and do we need it going forward?
Councilor Page, that's a pretty standard report. I can run that up.
And frankly, I love that idea, and that's what I tell all of our clients. We have some clients who just will not hold a meeting without the city attorney there, and we spend hours sitting there saying nothing, and I'm like, why are you spending money on this? If we don't need to be, and so we try to train our clients, only call us when you need us, right? And so I love that idea. You don't need to be wasting money on legal bills to have me sit here.
Well, part of it has been over the last few months, we have needed the city attorney.
Okay, right. It's
So,
like
I think
learning
that's where-
curve and all that. I get it, but eventually hopefully we'll get to a point where we don't need to be here for meetings unless there are legal issues on the agenda.
But I think it sounds like we can get that in a city manager report, Bill.
Mhm.
What you're saying.
Absolutely.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, we want to be respectful of your budget, frankly.
Yeah,
I need to give them the council report.
and my second council report, thank you for, I went to the Parks and Rec meeting. And, they had a quorum there. There's a lot of interesting topics, which I brought up earlier. They're looking pretty holistically at the parks, not just like, hey, we need to rename this, or, they're looking at building parks and trying to build community and also help build the economy. But one thing is, this kitchen is, they're talking about $48,000 to kind of update it. And I was kind of wondering what the break-even point of that would be. If you spend that money, how much more can we charge to have it be paid off, right? So that'd be something like with the current amount of usage we're having, could we charge more if that happens? And if people actually, it's still a good deal. And have that paid off so we could actually get some better utility by like actually pay for ourselves. Second thing I thought of when they were discussing was budget. Think about budget a lot, actually. We have a lot of people that are using the parks that are not North residents. And that's been boo, hiss on them, but they don't pay any taxes to mow lawns or repave. Or, there's a lot of things that wear and tear that's being enjoyed. And people are happy to use public goods. I mean, good, please do it. But what would it take to make a park district? So you don't have to be a North Plains resident. I mean, people from outside North Plains want to run the city council meetings or talk about them. They want to be part of the community. How can they help out? Is there parks? What would that look like? Like a park zone?
Well, I mean, it would be a couple of different steps. So, we would need to budget for a Parks District feasibility study, and that would basically just be, work with you all on drawing lines on a map of what a Parks District might look like geographically, so that we know what property owners, including the city itself, the city limits would be in. And then there's an analysis of the potential revenue that would be created depending on how you draw the map. And then you would balance that against what the cost of operating parks might be with expanded service, because you have more people you're including and all that fun stuff. So it's an analysis exercise first.
Right.
And then once that process is done, it would come back to you all to decide whether or not you wanted to go through a formal process to establish a district legally. And that's a public outreach process and a legal process. And
In a
so,
voting process, we have to vote.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Would they have to vote, or would the city of North Plains, would it be already together? The whole
It would be
population voting?
everybody together.
Okay, so they're not gonna vote yes or no, do I wanna pay taxes?
That's what it boils down to.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
Cool.
but it can be done.
I would like to have that as a discussion for city council to see whether or not we wanna look at that. To, you know, further incorporate the community as a whole into helping, piece of the budget.
Just a anecdote to piggyback off of the Parks and Rec theme from Mr. Page. I was looking at the city of Forest Grove, and they had a parks program that was really reading in the park, and I thought, oh, we've got a strong programming with our library, maybe there's some synergy to do something like that. We're talking about programming, especially with after hours and kids, that might be a quick win.
Yeah, to piggyback onto that, I think, and I don't want to sit here and necessarily solution it, but I'd love to find some time in the future to talk about some ideas that I have for how that community programming could be a pretty light lift and not a big budget line item to get some proof of concept off the ground. Crowdsourcing volunteers locally, leveraging our teams, creative opportunities to move the needle on that. So is that something that we might want to add to a future agenda item and kind of do some brainstorming?
Maybe it's more specific than that, yeah.
Okay. So I'm hearing some nodding heads. That's a concern. Seeing some nodding heads. Do we feel like we want to potentially discuss that on a future agenda and get some ideas
I
together?
think we need to discuss what our role is in that, because running programs, designing programs versus, you know, creating policy for programs to happen and take place, or, you know, putting that around it, which is our legislative role. So for me, you know, yes, there's lots, I've done that programming, that's my background. And there is lots that you can do with that, but it's not, I'm not in the role where I'm in there to get my fingers in, you know, and be running the programs or setting up the volunteers or coordinating that. Which is a challenge, because how do you do that? You put policy in place to make that happen. So you create opportunities for the community to make, so the community can make that happen, et cetera.
In the interest of time, we have about 12 minutes, but I think if we were to say, I would be in favor of yes, narrowly putting a conversation around Parks District.
Right.
I don't have an opinion either way, but I would be interested in hearing more.
Oh, that was what I put down here, is that James raised a question if we wanted a future item, future agenda item on looking at the viability of a parks district.
Right, and not
And-
about,
As an agenda item.
and not about what we can do to like read in parks or,
Oh.
you know.
We didn't get consensus or anything to move it forward or not. So I'm asking, you know, was there consensus to put that on the agenda?
I appreciate you raising it, but I think it sounds like an awfully heavy lift. So it's.
I say the discussion, yes.
I'm fine with putting it on the agenda. Sounds like James is.
I'm fine with putting on, fine with putting it on the agenda, but not time sensitive.
Yeah.
Like
Right. we need to-
Q4, like.
And I'd still like to put something on there, whether it's in partnership with parks or how we approach it, that we can have a council discussion about setting a priority for that community programming. That's something we have appetite for?
Muddying the waters.
I think it's micromanaging.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
did we get 4 on the?
Yes.
Okay. Revisiting something that we talked about earlier today, and we had moved to council reports, was public comment on Zoom. All of us seemed a little alarmed earlier that we weren't able to provide access to folks who were trying to make a public comment. Can we agree and get consensus to put that on a future agenda as far as discussing how we can
Is any,
streamline that process.
someone can suggest that we reach out to the cities if anybody's a AC expert, not AC, sorry. Audio,
Oh, AV.
video, AV, AC, that's fine. Maybe they could just put the button or something.
Well, it's council rules, Council Page, that was the point of concern of yours.
Oh, sorry?
It's council rules.
Council rules say 3 P.M. You have to have it in by 3
Yeah,
P.M.
I
if you're
see.
speaking.
That may have
I
been
thought it
driven
was
by
just-
AV concerns.
The AV concern would alleviate that, right?
Oh, I see.
So that would just take, that just get rid of it totally.
So I think that future agenda item could potentially accommodate both halves of that discussion.
Yeah.
Nodding heads? Yes,
Zoom accessibility, future agenda item.
Yes.
okay, and I would like to make that one more time sensitive because we're dealing with it every time we have a meeting. So just to abundance of clarity, we're asking for on our next agenda to have a discussion about the council rules regarding the 3 PM deadline, as well as any technical issues that are preventing, is it what, the raised hand?
I think fixing that would take care of the other, so maybe just focus on one, fixing the AV so you can have the interactive display, it'll take care of both of those.
I think what Michelle was saying is that we're bound by the rules unless we change them.
That is correct.
So let's leave both halves on there.
Use the AV to get, take it off, yeah.
So let's,
Yes, put it on the agenda.
let's put that on next meeting's agenda. And then I wanted to propose, let's see. I'd like to add a topic to the agenda for next meeting regarding what's happening with the urban growth boundary. The intent is to provide clear input for staff during budget cycle, and it might include things like ordinance 490, the housing needs analysis, the economic opportunity analysis, and the comprehensive plan, particularly as related to data centers and mid-sized warehouses. To be clear, this is not a proposal to redo the UGB in one meeting, but for us to discuss these in general, so staff has the necessary direction from the council body directly, whether we plan to spend future money on UGB or elsewhere. The goal is to give everyone a chance to engage and understand what a smaller expansion might entail. Do we have consensus on an agenda item for
Good
that?
question.
Mhm.
I thought as council, we had discussed this item, and had decided to basically put things on hold at this point. That we weren't moving forward with anything, but we weren't losing things either. We had information that we collected, basically, and that we were sort of holding it. And that was where we had landed. Am I wrong about that?
I think I'm asking for us to provide some clear direction rather than just saying we're pausing. Yes,
I also, my understanding is that planning commission had voiced.
Oh, yes.
That they wanted to have another work session with us, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know why May 14th is coming to mind.
It is.
Is it May 14th? And so are you proposing to have this agenda item added on before or after May 14th?
ideally, I would love to have it next meeting, but if we feel like May 14th is still within enough runway during budget cycle to,
May 14th is a regular session, we're joining the planning commission.
Okay.
So.
I think it is.
yeah,
I think it is time to do that. You know, we're just providing general
right.
information for the budget committee, and so, I think there's time to do that.
I think so too.
I'd be supportive, it's after, I would like to hear from the planning commission first personally.
Absolutely. We said we would do that.
One more data.
Okay, so we're looking at the 19th.
Thank you, Councilor Bacon, bringing that back to attention.
So do I have nodding heads, or do we want to run down the list of everybody?
19th is my thing.
Lots of nodding heads? Okay. So just making sure that, yep, you couldn't hear the nodding heads. So we've got that on the agenda for that. Beautiful. Thank you folks so much. Anybody else for the council report?
Yeah, we have like 1 minute. So I really appreciated what Joanna Farah said about having the ex officio members in the different meetings. And I find it really helpful when counselors come back and the mayor comes back, you know, and report out on the meetings so that we know what's going on, like James just did a moment ago. What I have a question about is, in light of what's happening federally and nationally and statewide, what has been going on at the Washington County Coordinating Committee meeting, because I haven't heard any reports back on that one. So that's the mayor's meeting that happened.
Yeah, I have been engaging with council president as backup on that, and I'm not sure whether you've had a chance
I
to.
was informed the last time that that is mayor's only, so I was allowed to attend. But the pieces I'll share is, it was mostly discussed was the public safety levy for the county and the library levy. And I did ask Robin at library board to have other updates, but I'll send them out to council later. I did discuss that with Robin. I asked her and the library board about the library levy and how they intended to handle it, and they gave me the wise advice that that's the county's problem, and they will tell us their part, and then we will inherit from them. So I was very impressed with library board. It made a lot more sense once they explained it to me. But yeah, so that's the two main things that they're focused on right now, and then the things at CWS that we're all aware of in the news, they're addressing that.
So I think that, yeah, as those things are coming up, I think that just in light of what's been going on, there's probably going to be a lot more, and it will be important for us to get that information back.
Super. I just have a quick question with that. Were you talking about the Washington County Coordinating Committee?
I was talking about the mayor's one.
Oh, the.
Decoding committee, yes.
Is that the
Yeah.
Washington County? Yours is, I know yours is more the metro. I know, no.
No, mine's community development.
Yes, community development. So it's it's the one where all the mayors meet, because I'm thinking as things are coming down, mayors are going to hear them. They're gonna have ideas how things are affecting their cities. You know, I'm just trying to be not paranoid, but a little proactive.
Very fair.
The second Monday,
Thank you.
each month, you be overtime from 12 to 1.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And that was my question is, on one page, and this might just be a quick clerical. On our agenda packet, it shows on page 32. For May 2025, it shows primary is Mayor Goodwin and alternate is Counselor Phage.
Does it?
However, on the page 34 of our packet, council committee appointments, it shows Mayor Goodwin as the primary for Washington County Coordinating Committee and Council President Dunbrow as the alternate.
Yeah, I've noticed the same.
And I think we just heard it's mayor only.
The
so we
chair.
don't really need alternates.
So do we
Sure.
don't need an alternate?
Sorry, I should have.
Yeah,
emailed you
no
that.
alternates.
I'll just take
Yeah,
it
just take
out.
me off. I don't know what the
Are
deal
you,
was.
okay, but are you still the alternate for the Metro Policy Advisory?
Yes,
Committee?
ma'am.
I'll leave that one. I'll take
Perfect. Yeah,
whoever was the alternate, I'll
Yeah,
take that
that's
out.
fine.
Um,
I didn't know what it was. I just showed up and took notes and then was politely informed that I was in the wrong room. I
and
just
Counselor
apologize.
McCall Wallace, you're the permanent alternate for the community development, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
You're the
Primary.
first primary, okay. Got
And
it.
so then for Washington County Coordinating Committee, there cannot be an alternate then, right?
That's what it
Has to be
sounds
Mayor
like.
Goodwin,
That's
is that
what
right?
the chair told me,
I
yes.
believe the alternate is actually city manager. Andy Varner's still on the mailing list, which is interesting.
Okay, yeah, I was just
So
curious.
that might be something to follow up on.
I think he was just on there for communication purposes, but it really is Mary.
Okay, and then I'll be really quick with my council report because my computer is at 1% as well. But I attended the planning commission meeting as ex officio. Rowan and Steve did a great job already, and kind of stole my thunder because they included all the information that we went over in the council packet. One thing I would just include, is we'll see, an adoption for the FEMA floodplain that we've talked so much about, coming to council here shortly. A couple other things, Frank's Excavations, permit was extended by another year just because of permits and everything is taking a little bit longer. And then, the last part I would just include, that I think we'll probably go into more detail later on, and Steve touched a little bit on this, is just, how our lack of movement with planning essentially has negatively impacted our consideration for grants for the city. And I just really want to highlight that because I think there is writing on the wall if we do not plan for things, whether it's growth, no growth, smart growth, whatever it is, there is writing on the wall that we have to plan. We have to be ahead of this because constituents are seeing it, legislatures are seeing it. It is really important for us to put North Plains in a good light, to be considered for this funding. So, that was really kind of the big portion of the meeting that really stuck out to me, that
we're dropping down some rungs, because of our, our turmoil essentially of how we're not aligned. So with that, I will pass it over to anyone else that hasn't done their council report.
I'll just make one last plug. So library board, Robin is very contagious with her excitement over reporting Jason and also Brianna and getting sent to Leadership Institute, which was funded by Friends of the Library, correct?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I just want to make sure I got that right. And also I'll just make one plug, because I promised Mr. Hatcher I would, for Friends of the Library. It is a good organization, and if you don't love reading, you probably should, because that's how you're here. Or you should be reading before you get here. So I would plug Friends of the Library. It's a great organization and they're doing a lot of good stuff, and you should definitely check it out. And there will be a bookshop opening in the library annex soon, run by Friends of the Library to raise funds, and it'll be awesome. So take a look.
Anything with our council calendar? I literally have Girl Scout cookies in my bag. If someone can attend a 521 library board meeting for me.
Let me see if I work. Hold on. Did you say Girl Scout cookies?
I did. They're the good kind too.
I'm highly bribable. You see that? I cannot.
Don't say that, by the way.
I'm highly influenced with Girl Scout.
Whatever is left over, sorry.
Anybody available? Otherwise, I'm gonna have to apologize to Robin and watch it after the fact. All right, I'm keeping my cookies. Anybody else?
How much are they?
$6, believe it or not.
Yeah, change.
Alrighty, anything else? Okay, then I think we are at the point of adjournment for the purpose of our public session, and the rest of us unfortunately don't get to run screening yet. We have some executive session to deal with. But very much appreciate our public for attending tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
I made them try to record on consoles.